Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. Goldbelly ships Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garden's famous cakes. So, if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT. That's goldbelly.com, promo code GIFT.
You have big dreams of losing weight and creating a healthy, joyful life. But you find yourself craving sugar, caught up in what the scale says, and diet hopping. Dieting is the old way of losing weight. And the good news is I'm going to give you a new way of eating so you can ditch diets for good and build a healthy relationship with real food. My name is Megan Olson, certified nutrition practitioner, creator of Skinny Fitalicious, and your host of the Dish on Diets show.
Hello, friends. Today I want to talk to you about self-sabotage in disguise. Self-sabotage is very sneaky. There are many layers to it, and with the kind of self-sabotage I'm talking about today, it's the kind we don't generally recognize we're doing. Often when we think of self-sabotage, we think about doing an action that goes against weight loss. Like I'm overeating and over snacking every night, or I'm always over snacking on the weekends and skipping meals. The form of self-sabotage I want to talk to you about today is where you're not taking action, where there's no action, there's inaction. This form of self-sabotage is sneakier, and usually we don't realize why we're doing it. So I want to talk through this with you based on what I have seen with other clients that causes this. But before we get to that, I want to take a minute to say, if you've been enjoying the podcast and getting benefit from it, please take a minute to leave a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. Your reviews really help other women find the podcast who are struggling. So if you would please take a moment to do that, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, let's talk about self-sabotage in disguise on a weight loss journey. And let's talk about 2 different types of self-sabotage in disguise, because these are the most common self-sabotage in disguise situations I have seen coaching midlife weight loss clients. The first way that someone sabotages in disguise, they think they should be losing weight when they are not in a calorie deficit. Let's say their maintenance calories are 1,800 calories and their calorie deficit target is 1,500 calories. And they're eating consistently 1,800 calories on average for the last 90 days. I have seen this so many times in my career. Some people will even go to their doctors and say they're confused why they're not losing weight. I've had a few doctors call me in my career and I've had to explain, well, actually, this person is not actually eating in a calorie deficit. They're eating 1,800 calories instead of 1,500. That's why they're not losing weight, right? This is what's called cognitive dissonance. You know you're not eating 1,500 calories, but you rationalize like, well, I'm tracking my food. I'm eating more health promoting foods. I'm eating more protein and fiber. I'm moving, and doing more. So I should be losing weight for the effort I'm putting in. So logically, you need to be eating 1,500 calories and that's your target to lose weight. But you hold these conflicting beliefs that you're doing more. So therefore you should be seeing some kind of progress, some kind of weight loss, something. It's really a fascinating mental phenomenon, and it's something I see quite frequently. Happens with a lot of people in all kinds of areas. So let's discuss how this might be actually self-sabotage in disguise, because the problem really isn't that you're not eating the right amount of calories, right? You know that you should be aiming for 1,500 calories, but that's not the real problem going on here. Okay. As a coach, when a client says to me, I don't understand why I'm not losing weight, my question always is, what makes you think you should be seeing weight loss? What makes you think, even though you haven't dialed in these things that you should see results. What makes you think you should be losing weight when you're not in a calorie deficit? So, my job as someone's coach is to dig into their thinking to see what's coming up from them. And sometimes what will come up for people is like, well, I'm doing these things so much better than before, or now I'm tracking my food, or I'm eating more healthy foods, which none of that matters for weight loss. The tracking food one is one I so commonly see. A lot of women really think that just because they are tracking their food, that somehow means they are in a calorie deficit. This would be like, you make $5,000 a month and you spend $5,000 a month. So that's just like you're maintaining, right? You're not able to save any money. And this would be like you continuing to spend $5,000 every month and being confused why you're not saving money. I can't afford anything, but you're still spending $5,000 a month, right? And so tracking food is one I so commonly see. A lot of women just believing that when they are tracking food, that somehow means that they are in a calorie deficit. They can be eating 3,000 calories a day and they believe they should be losing weight just because they are tracking their food intake. That's cognitive dissonance. And sometimes people will say, I'm scared of lowering my calories. When I start digging into this with them, they'll say, I'm scared of lowering my calories because I've done so many restrictive diets where I was starving and I'm really scared of being hungry again, which is totally valid, right? So I'm scared of being hungry. I'm scared of giving up all my favorite foods and not being able to enjoy food and feeling like I'm missing out. Or sometimes people will be like, well, I don't really want to put in the time and effort because I've never lost weight before, so it's probably not going to work for me anyways. And so why should I bother and put in all the extra time and effort? Or I've lost weight before, but never kept it off. So why should I bother putting in the work again? I'm probably going to fail anyway. I'm probably going to gain all this weight back, even if I try my best. So they say, I'm scared of failing, or I'm scared of how long it's going to take, or I'm scared that even if I do lose weight, how am I going to keep up with all these habits and maintain any weight that I lose with my busy, crazy life? Sometimes people fear how long it's going to take them to lose weight. Like, what if this takes me a year? I don't know if I could last a year. Like, all these things are the thoughts that are going on in your head that are preventing you from actually eating the 1,500 calories. These are all example of self-sabotaging thoughts, and it's self-sabotage in disguise because your thoughts about losing weight are stinky thoughts. They're super scary and super self-deprecating. They're all based in fear, and fear prevents you from taking action. They also may be because you don't believe in yourself and you have a fixed mindset. I've been doing this for so long. I'm sure some of these things I mentioned are actually probably things that you're dealing with or thinking in the back of your mind. You may not realize it, but these thoughts are sabotaging you in disguise. But the thoughts are preventing you from doing the behaviors that get you the weight loss results. A lot of people don't get this, but your thoughts create your behaviors. You don't create your behaviors. This is why you can't just make yourself do something. So the thoughts are preventing you from doing the behaviors that get you the results of losing weight, and the cognitive dissonance creates internal conflict. To resolve the internal conflict, what a person has to do is, well, they either have to change their behavior, alter their beliefs, or just ignore the facts. So an example might be somebody rationalizing. So you're not eating 1,500 calories as your calorie deficit, but you eat 1,800 calories anyways. And you might point to you being too tired or too stressed or too busy as justifications for doing that, for eating 1,800 calories. The cognitive dissonance is ultimately rooted in these beliefs you have surrounding weight loss. See why behavior change is not as simple as just eating a calorie deficit? Yeah. Okay. And it's also the same thing with steps. Let's say somebody is eating 1,500 calories regularly. They're nailing that part, but they're not increasing their steps. They know they should be increasing their steps, but they might say things like, I don't know why I'm not losing weight. The individuals who don't prioritize the step part of their calorie deficit is a common thing that I hear is, I'm too busy. And as a coach, when I begin asking questions like, well, what makes you think you should be able to lose weight without increasing your movement? People will say things like they don't believe it will matter. And once again, they do not believe in themselves, or they will say things like, this is a comfortable place with steps. I don't feel like I should have to get more steps to lose weight. I mean, your feelings don't really matter for results, but they feel that way. They're like, I feel like I shouldn't have to do more. They hold these beliefs that conflict with their weight loss goal. And ultimately, individuals rationalize and justify why they're not doing them to resolve the internal conflict that this creates. It's self-sabotage in disguise because your thinking is what is preventing you from taking all the actions you need to be taking to be in a calorie deficit. So you kind of end up in this loop of kind of sort of doing things, but you don't believe in yourself. So you don't commit 10 out of 10 to take all the actions fully because you don't want to let yourself down and feel like a failure for the millionth time. So you don't fully commit. And this is why sometimes you're super dialed in and super consistent. And sometimes you're just all over the place and frustrated with yourself and experiencing this dissonance of why don't I have the results? Yeah, when you're not even in a calorie deficit, but you're convincing yourself this should be enough to see some results. And if I'm not seeing some results with the things I'm doing, why should I bother putting in more effort? I should at least be seeing something with this amount of effort. Let's say you know all the right things you should be doing to lose weight and you know how to do them correctly. You need to bring your steps up while you're in a calorie deficit. You should prioritize your protein and fiber to stay full. You should track your food regularly. You should budget your calories, and you're just not doing it. You're not doing it, and you're stuck in this limbo of, I know what to do, but I don't know why I'm not doing it. And you're playing these mental gymnastics of, why am I like this? What's wrong with me? This is self-sabotage in disguise. Now, I've been helping midlife women lose fat sustainably for 11 years as my full-time job. And if I had to guess, you have a library in your brain of all the times you failed, or maybe the approach was too rigid and extreme when you have tried to lose weight in the past, and it was just totally miserable. Here's all the times you failed. Here's all the times you tried to do this, and it was rigid, miserable, and extreme. Your brain is saying, how's this time even going to be different? Why am I going to put myself through all this misery just to feel like a failure again? You haven't followed through before. You haven't done what you said you would before. So even if I do put in all this time and effort, I probably won't get any of the results that I want. I'm not even getting results now. So then I'm going to feel really terrible and feel like a failure if I try to even do more because I'm probably not going to succeed. Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. If you want to sabotage yourself. And that thinking might be leading you to think, I might as well not try, because if I try and I fail, I'm going to feel terrible and I'm going to feel guilty about all the people in my life that I let down. And I'll feel bad because I have let myself down again too. I'm going to just feel terrible if I let myself down. I don't necessarily love where I am right now. I don't necessarily love how my body looks and feels. I don't love the fact that I have no confidence and no energy. However, it's scarier for me to make this change and not get results and then let myself down. So then you don't make a change because you can't depend on yourself. And you may have also done deprivation type diets in the past where you starved yourself, or maybe your Weight Watchers points were really low. And whether or not you realize you were starving yourself or your points were too low, or maybe that you were dieting in a very disordered way and you weren't feeding your body properly to lose weight, now, even though you don't know those things, and those are all really kind of the big issues, is your approach to losing weight. Now you're scared of doing something even normal. You can have the best plan where you're full and satisfied, not starving. You can have the best plan, and the only thing you're really having to do is budget your calories like you budget your finances, but you won't do it because you'll be scared you're going to be starving. You might also think, you know what? even if I do lose weight, how am I ever going to maintain it? I've never maintained it before. Am I going to have to keep doing 10,000 steps a day? Am I going to have to keep eating this much protein? What am I going to have to do to keep this weight off? How am I going to keep planning my meals like this? How am I ever going to do this with my job, family, kids, and life? All this is fear because you don't believe in yourself. It's self-sabotage because you do not believe in yourself. You can have the best, most sustainable, doable, practical plan for life, but you will sabotage yourself because in your mind, you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in your ability to change. Sometimes you're scared because you're like, oh my gosh, what if I'm starving like these other diets that I did? What if I do all this work and I put in my best effort? And what if I still don't lose weight? What if I do lose weight and then I don't keep it off? What if I gain it back? You're scared of failing because you have a library in your head of all the times you failed. So in your mind, you're trying to avoid that feeling of failing again. And then you justify to yourself, I don't really like how I look and feel right now. I don't like being overweight. I don't like being unhealthy and having high cholesterol. Even though I don't like these things, it's familiar. I know what to expect day to day. And I don't have to put in much work. I can just stay here where it's comfortable and kind of sort of be content. I'm not going to really love my body and not really going to love like how out of breath and how out of shape I am, but I can kind of sort of be here. And so then that's what you end up doing. You sort of rationalize and justify because, again, you have cognitive dissonance. You want the goal, but again, you keep sabotaging yourself. And so then you rationalize like, well, I can kind of stay here. This is comfortable. I don't have to do a lot of work. I don't really love it, but I know what to expect and I don't have to do anything extra. So essentially, you're saying, I'm not happy with my body. I'm not happy with my health. Don't love that I have no energy and feel sluggish, but I know I can get by this way. This is familiar. I know what to expect. I can deal with this. And so you justify not doing the things that you're scared of doing because you're scared of failing. You're like, what if I put in all this time and effort and money and do all this work and I let myself down again? I will feel disappointed in myself if I don't reach my goal. And what if I don't lose weight and keep it off forever? As I said, these are just some of the thoughts, but you likely have a library of all these kinds of thoughts in your head, of all the times you failed. And they're swirling around in your head, constantly telling you, you're probably not going to be able to do this. This is probably not going to happen. How's this even going to be different? The bottom line is you're scared of feeling disappointed and failing again. You're scared of letting yourself down. And this is why I always say, fat loss is simple, but it's not easy. The stuff behind the scenes with your thoughts and your mindset, there's a lot of layers there that make fat loss really, really hard. Makes your relationship with food hard. Everything is really hard, even though on the surface it seems very straightforward because you will unconsciously get in your own way. You're not doing it like on purpose, but unconsciously this is happening. That's why I said it's in disguise. It's happening in disguise. So you might know all the right things to do to lose weight, all the correct things to lose weight, but you might not actually be doing it or doing it consistently enough and it's getting in your way. So if any of this is resonating with you, I want to mention that I have a free download in the show notes for you with questions I would ask you if I were coaching you on self-sabotage. You're thinking in the back of your mind that you might want to give up despite really wanting to figure out how to lose weight and get healthier. So if that's you, grab that download in the show notes. And I've got those questions there for you so you can do some self-reflection and self-coaching to see if you can dig into this deeper. Fear is one of the biggest things that prevent people from reaching goals, any goal. And especially on a weight loss journey, again, because you likely have done a lot of bad diets and you still look at food as good or bad. And then you shame yourself because you ate a cookie. And so because of that, you're scared, which is normal. I think it's really, really prevalent with midlife women that I work with because, again, they've done just so many of these like diets, which you can follow a protocol for 30, 60, 90 days, but it's always going to let you down. It's never going to be sustainable. Nobody can ever live in extremes. If you can't do it until you're 85 plus years old, it's just not going to work. And so because so many women who are in their who are middle aged, right? Because they've done so many of these diets and have felt left down. They did put in their best effort and they didn't get the results they wanted, or they felt disappointed for the amount of effort they gave, or it wasn't sustainable. And so they like internalized that. And then they fear the next time they try to lose weight, like even if they're doing the best plan or the most sustainable plan, a simple plan, something normal, not restrictive, they will internalize that fear and carry it with them and then sabotage themselves because of the library of failures in their mind. And then they will tell themselves cruddy things like, why would this ever work for me? In the past, I always failed. So how could this time be any different? I see this all the time when people have consultations with me. They're a great fit. We're a great fit to work together and to, figure out what's been keeping them stuck. And anybody who's worked with me, we're not doing a diet. We're actually getting to the bottom of like your relationship with food and what's been actually keeping you stuck and the patterns that are, not helping you, and getting, really deep into your mindset. So it's really interesting. The consultations I've had with women throughout the years, they will sabotage and they will know like, this is the perfect thing for them. And then they will just be like, no, I can't do this. Or, I don't want to do this. And I can tell that they're scared. And when I ask them why they're scared, they will say things just like what I just told you, right? What's the guarantee that I'm not going to fail again? I'm scared that I'm going to eat the wrong thing, right? Because you probably have never done one-on-one coaching. You've just been a dieter your entire life. So of course you're scared. That's very normal. But that's also self-sabotage, like not getting help. Like you're struggling with a problem for like decades, and then you're like, I don't want to get help because I might fail. It doesn't even make sense. Right? I always find, this thinking so interesting because I work with so many women who are just smart, professional women who have achieved awesome things in their life. And I'm like, what makes you think you wouldn't reach your goal? Like, where does that idea even come from? Because you've achieved all these other awesome things. What makes you think that in this one little area of your life with nutrition and weight loss, that you can't possibly succeed? I mean, maybe you just haven't found success yet. Maybe there's certain things you just have not figured out yet. Maybe you haven't learned how to lose weight correctly yet. Doesn't mean you can't figure this out. It only means you haven't done it yet. If you struggle with self-sabotage, it's very likely you have a fixed mindset. People who have a fixed mindset give up very easily. They look at failure, they look at challenges as proof of not being good enough. They're not good enough, or they're not able to get results. They usually have a very poor sense of, self-belief that they can accomplish things. So they view failure or life challenges, normal life things, normal life stresses. They view those things as a sign that they aren't cut out for what they're trying to accomplish. And sometimes they even feel threatened by the success of others and use other people's success to justify giving up. They may even feel jealous of other people's success. They may know, like, their neighbor who just lost 20 pounds in a month. They may know she's like doing some cruddy shake program she can't sustain until she's 85, but they will still envy that person and sabotage themselves. People with a fixed mindset tend to say things like, why bother? Nothing works for me. I can't. I struggle. They believe certain skills or abilities are things other people are born with. I'm not somebody who can ever be athletic. I'm not somebody who can ever like to exercise. Those would be examples of somebody with a fixed mindset. So people with a fixed mindset also operate from whatever circumstances they're in. Let's say your dog is sick and you have to drop everything to take your dog to the vet. People with a fixed mindset will use that situation to say, see, this is why I can't track my food today. I can't walk. I can't eat an ounce of protein. And people with a growth mindset embrace challenges, realizing that challenges and regular stress is just a normal part of life. And they recognize that skills and abilities are practiced and developed over time. And they view failure as a chance to grow and learn, and are actually inspired by other people's successes. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the podcast, you're probably thinking, wow, this sounds complicated. And you're right. This is why weight loss is not easy. Your brain does all kinds of these mental gymnastics that keep you stuck. Changing your behaviors to get results that last is work. And your thoughts And your fears and your mindset are the biggest barriers. I say this all the time. Fat loss is simple, but it's not easy when you have all these negative thoughts and beliefs and you're not addressing any of them. You're just taking them into weight loss. You're trying to count your calories and you're taking all this baggage, all this junk into your calorie deficit. It doesn't work. You can't out-calorie count this kind of stuff. You have to fix it. And low carb doesn't fix it. Fasting doesn't fix it. Exercise doesn't fix it. Protein doesn't fix it. Many women are stuck because they are self-sabotaging like this in disguise. That's not a food problem. It's a how you think problem. It's a what you believe about yourself problem. The good news is you're not alone. And you're not the only one who has this issue, because I see this stuff repeatedly with clients. It's exactly what I help clients with. I think a lot of women think coaching is just someone telling them what to do and what to eat. That's not coaching. The food part and the technical part of weight loss is the easy part once you have a good relationship with food and mindset. It's the thinking part and the belief part about your ability to change that will keep you stuck in a cycle of sabotaging in disguise. And you're sitting there going, I don't understand why I'm like this. So if this is you, know you're not alone. No, this is not a you only problem. It's pretty common. And know that there's people like me who can help you. Okay? You don't have to stay with this problem forever. And remember, making a choice to not set a consultation because you're scared, that's self-sabotage. Making a choice to have a consultation, and even though you know in the back of your mind that this will benefit you and there will be value for you to get the help that you need, and you are like, no, I got to back out, I can't do that, that is also self-sabotage. You're saying, I don't want that help. I want to stay where I am right now. And I'm okay with not changing anything, okay? And so, like I said, that is also self-sabotage. I don't think we always realize that. We make justifications and we rationalize it because there is that internal conflict, that cognitive dissonance that happens. You want the help, you want to reach a goal. I have no doubt that anybody that I have ever, worked with wants to lose weight. Of course you want to lose weight. I think sometimes people kind of take the easy way out and they're like, I must not want this bad enough. I don't think that's what it is. I think that deep down inside, you've got some broken pieces. You feel broken. You're feeling not good enough. You don't believe in yourself. You have all these stinky thoughts that keep coming up and telling you what a terrible person you are and how you're never going to be able to change. And this is why you shouldn't change. So you feel somewhat broken, but you're not. And just know there are people like me who can help you. And if you're interested in getting help, the link to schedule a consultation with me is in the show notes. And if you schedule a consultation, we'll talk about how I can help you with this. And ladies, I hope that this was a helpful episode for you. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, you have to come check out my free weight loss class. It's the 5 steps to lasting weight loss, how hormones impact weight loss, and the truth about lasting weight loss without relying on willpower, workouts, or deprivation. Click the link in the show notes to watch that free class today. And if you are a woman over 35 with 20 to 50 or more pounds to lose, schedule a free weight loss breakthrough session with me after you watch that class. And let's talk about your 20 to 50 or more pound weight loss plan.